A new study tonight reveals the Justice Department is prosecuting the lowest number of gun crimes in a decade. A Syracuse University study of the latest Justice Department data shows the government reported only 484 new weapons cases in January. The study also found that some of the largest cities in this nation are not being targeted at all by law enforcement. This at a time when the administration claims it is absolutely insistent upon gun control. The cities include, amongst others, Atlanta, Boston, and Chicago. The study comes as the administration pursues new restrictions on gun sales in 4 border states, the latest effort by this administration to attempt to curtail Second Amendment rights without going to Congress. Meanwhile, the investigation into the botched Fast and Furious gun running operation escalating tonight. Our next guest says the scandal reaches into the highest level of the U.S. Justice Department. He is pressing Attorney General Eric Holder to turn over emails and other materials. Joining us now, the chairman of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, Congressman Issa. Mr. Chairman, great to have you with us.
Well, thanks for having me on, Lou, and thanks for covering this important subject.
Well, thank you for carrying out this investigation. I'm looking at a letter sent July 11th to Eric Holder, in which there are 12 names here, top officials of the Justice Department, looking for all of their records, emails, and you're demanding delivery by the 18th of July, next week. What do you think the response is going to be?
Well, I expect this is one where compliance should be expected, and it's fairly easy to go through this limited number of people's emails and deliver what we want. Justice knows that this is the result of whistleblowers plus the ATF acting director, Kenneth Melson. So we have corroboration of these communications. We now want to see the first-hand communications because we now know that there were failures at Justice that led to Brian Terry and others dying at the hands of guns that never should have been in the hands of the worst in the drug business. The
U.S. Border Patrol agent Brian Terry, who was murdered, in which Operation Fast and Furious guns were, 2 of them were found at the scene of the crime.
Exactly.
What is your reaction to ATF Director Kenneth Melson's interview with congressional investigators? He said he wanted to cooperate with your investigation, but he said to the investigators that the Justice Department had directed him and other officials to, quote unquote, not to respond.
That's correct. As early as Senator Grassley's letter, Melson, who had briefed Congress at other times, said, well, let me go up and explain this. He was told not to, and then, of course, as we discovered that there were a lot of things he didn't really know that we now know that certainly would have made it hard for him to give an explanation that would have appeased us for a good reason. This was a bad program with a lot of unknown factors and a lot of mistakes that we can never let happen again. You know, Lou, we're the Government Oversight and Reform Committee, and it's that reform that we have to ensure happens in this case.
That reform it appears to be reaching to the Justice Department. The President of the United States has declared that the Attorney General knew nothing about Operation Fast and Furious. What do you think?
Well, the President can't know what somebody else knows, but what we do know is Eric Holder has said he only found out a couple of weeks before a hearing long after Brian Terry, the Border Patrol agent, had been killed, long after this program was in ruins. What we did find that was that on April 2nd of 2009, Eric Holder flies to Mexico City and makes a speech about this bold initiative and all the emphasis he's going to put on getting to the kingpins. If he was so engaged that he would fly to Mexico, do this speech, talking around Fast and Furious, it's hard for us to believe that all throughout that year-plus process, and even as this program fell apart and became a problem for justice, that nobody should have told him something. So, Lou, we're probably not going to, we're going to take the Attorney General at his word, but we're going to say, well, then why wasn't he told? How could you not do it? And that'll be a question for Lanny Brewer and others. If you're loyal to your boss, how could you not tell him about this long before he says he found out in the newspapers?
And our other ATF agents, and we should point out, ATF field agents begged their superiors not to carry out this operation, correct?
Correct.
And
absolutely correct.
Their so-called superiors absolutely refused to listen to them. Are more agents stepping forward, or have actions that the Justice Department and ATF taken succeeding in chilling whistleblowers?
Well, the chilling is kind of behind us for the most part. ATF agents are coming forward. They understand that speaking to Congress is virtually an obligation when there's an investigation like that. We've had very candid, very revealing testimony, and in some cases documents produced in these voluntary discoveries. And I want to point out that the vast majority of people we interviewed, these were good citizen soldiers of the various parts of justice and the ATF. They've come forward in spite of being discouraged to do so by the administration, and it has given us the ability to understand. And so whether it's Dotson or any of the other whistleblowers, it has helped us a great deal in understanding what went wrong here.
Turning to the White House itself now, you're investigating the fundraising efforts, at least of one commercial, I guess is the way to put it, that had been videotaped at the White House, and whether or not that was a breach of law. Where does that investigation stand? What are your next steps?
Well, we're relatively in the beginning, and we're in the beginning by asking the questions based on what we believe has happened, and reports have already come out on. What's important for your viewers to understand is my predecessors did the same thing with previous administrations. The difference in the past was there was an Office of Political Affairs, so you had a person to call in, you could ask them questions. That person was supposed to be responsible for that divide between political and policy. Now we have a situation not just with that commercial, but also with a high-level contributor event held inside the White House and arranged by the Democratic National Committee, and with them present. And we've got questions about how could they think that that would be appropriate. If it's official, the DNC shouldn't be there. If it's political, it shouldn't be in the Blue Room. So we're trying to get to the bottom of that, but it's early, and we want to give the president the opportunity to explain how his policies could let this happen and what he's going to do to prevent this in the future.
Congressman Issa, Chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Lou.
A reminder to join us for Lou Dobbs Radio each day. Each and every day, we're on stations all across America. Go to loudobbs.com to get the station in your area.